Show, strawberries in Plant City, and no, it's not the big annual festival. All this plus your calls and emails on Florida Matters, live and local. First, these headlines.
Its inaugural meeting today in Washington, D.C. The Board of Peace was created and is controlled by Trump with an initial mission to help rebuild Gaza. Other countries have promised to contribute a total of $7 billion to the effort as well.
Board of Peace is one of the most important and consequential things I think that I'll be involved in. We've been involved in a lot, and really I've been involved in a lot with the people up here. We work together on ending wars with their country.
Some members of the United Nations have expressed concern President Trump's attempting to create a body that rivals the Security Council. The UN body convened yesterday to discuss the next phase of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire in Gaza and protests of Israel's expansion plans in the West Bank. The United Kingdom's former Prince Andrew has been arrested in an investigation into the Epstein files. His brother, King Charles, has issued a statement. It says, quote, "The law must take its course." NPR's Lauren Frere reports from London. Andrew is the first senior royal to be arrested.
King Charles says what follows now is a, quote, "full, fair, and proper process," but expressed deepest concern over his brother's arrest. Police are searching properties adjacent to Windsor Castle and the royal Sandringham estate where Andrew was arrested on suspicion, police say, of misconduct in public office, which carries up to a life sentence in prison. Andrew admits friendship with Jeffrey Epstein and settled a lawsuit with one of the late sex offender's underage victims. But Andrew has said he, quote, "strenuously denies any wrongdoing." After the latest file released by the U.S. Justice Department, UK police have been investigating whether Andrew passed confidential government information to Epstein when Andrew was a UK trade envoy. Lauren Fryer, NPR News, London.
And clarifying, Andrew is the first senior royal to be arrested in centuries. President Trump's campaign to promote his economic agenda takes him to Rome, Georgia today as early voting begins in that district to fill Republican former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene's vacant seat. Trump maintains the economy is doing well under his watch, but ahead of this year's midterm elections, polling suggests widespread voter concern about the economic hit from unilateral tariffs, mass deportations, and cuts to key programs such as Medicaid. An NPR PBS News Marist poll released earlier this month shows just 36% of Americans surveyed approve of Trump's handling of the economy and foreign policy. A majority of Republicans continues to stand by the president. U.S. stocks are trading lower this hour. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 331 points, more than 0.5%. From Washington, this is NPR News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Progressive. Progressive Commercial Insurance protects small businesses from retailers to tradespeople. Progressive covers a variety of business needs with a range of coverages. More at progressivecommercial.com.
You're listening to WUSF 89.7. I'm Craig Kopp. Almost 800 sea turtles have been found stranded along Florida's coastline so far this year. WUSF's Ricardo Cuomo explains it's because of the cold weather.
Like many humans, sea turtles enjoy warm waters of at least 50 degrees. When temperatures drop, they struggle to stay comfortable, so they go limp and wash up on the shore. Alan Foley is a wildlife biologist with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. He says these events are rare, as they require long periods of unusually low temperatures.
We typically see notable cold stun events about 2 or 3 times every 10 years, so it's definitely not an annual thing.
Rescued turtles are transported to rehab centers, where they recover and are eventually released back into the ocean. If you see a stranded turtle on the beach, call the FWC Wildlife Alert Hotline immediately. Ricardo Cuomo, WUSF 89.7 News.
You can find that number at WUSF.org. New data out of the University of Florida finds significantly fewer people are moving to the state and raised the interim director of the Schimberg Center for Housing Studies. She says there were nearly 1,300 people moving to the state every day, but last year that number fell to about 550 a day.
So that was a huge drop. And a big part of that is because so much of our movement into the state was international migration. And that just dropped, not surprisingly, pretty dramatically in 2025.
Ray also says she wants to watch how people move out of expensive metropolitan areas to more affordable ones like Polk County in north central Florida. The Florida House backtracking after putting strict limits on the governor's emergency fund. House lawmakers originally pitched a bill that would limit emergency spending only to natural disasters. DeSantis and other state leaders objected to that, and House leadership says it now aims to allow such spending, but with more legislative oversight. I'm Craig Kopp, WUSF 89.7 News.
Want to be in the know, but you don't have a ton of time, especially in the morning? Well, the Bay Blend podcast from WUSF gives you the latest news and events in the Tampa Bay area in just a few minutes. It's fun, it's quick, and it's all about your community. Check out the Bay Blend weekday mornings wherever you get your podcasts at.
Sills Music Mondays in Sarasota and Venice welcome a new season of acclaimed performers, on now through March 30th. Details are at sillsarasota.org. Sills Music Mondays, musical conversations with great performers.
This is Florida Matters live and local, sponsored by Badawi Law, broadcasting from the doctors Lorraine Rubis and Neil Frankel studio at WSF in Tampa. I'm Matthew Petty. It's a big weekend at the Hardee County Fair. If you're a fan of the thrills and spills of the rodeo, there's not one, but two rodeos, not to mention pageants, arts and craft, the fair food, and, of course, the animals.
What's your name? Denise. What animal are you showing in the fair? A pig. What's his name? Spot. What is your favorite thing about showing Spot?
Just brushing it. That's my favorite thing.
Do you have anything else you want to say?
That my pig is the second biggest here.
Wow.
Okay, so that's from the Hardee County Fair's Facebook page. One of the kids at the fair showing off their champion pig, and Spot, by the way, is 293 pounds. That is some pig. The fair's been around a long time, well before theme parks defined Florida as an international tourism hotspot. Here to tell us more is Denise Grimsley. She's on the board of directors for the Hardee County Fair. And if you've got questions about the fair, if you want to share your favorite county fair memory, give us a call, 813-755-6562. That's 813-755-6562. You can also email FloridaMatters@WUSF.org. Denise, thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so this is the 85th year, if I'm not mistaken, of the Hardee County Fair. That's a long time for a fair to be running consecutively, right?
That is correct. 85 years.
Yeah. And how long have you been involved with the fair?
Well, I've attended the fair my entire life and been involved in different aspects of it, but I've been on the board of directors for 2 years.
Okay, so what's involved with that? And I should sort of backtrack a bit and say, do you come from a kind of an agricultural background yourself? Is your family involved in the farming business?
I do. We're in the cattle business. That's one of the things that we do. But the fair has just been a fabric of the community. I grew up going to the fair. When I was a child, the fair was in an older location, much smaller, and then the fair moved out to the location it is now, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, and it just continues to grow, and it has become an economic engine for the county.
Yeah, so tell me about that. And as you say, it's part of the fabric of the community. I mean, is it sort of like a symbol of the county's identity? Because cattle, as you mentioned, your family's in the cattle business, but citrus has also been a big part of Hardee County. I'm guessing it's probably not so much a part of what happens now just because of the decline of the citrus industry in Florida in general, but agriculture in general is a big kind of part of what Hardee County does, right? So how important is the fair as a kind of a symbol of that culture?
I think it's most important in what we show the kids, the children, the school-age children. So they are all, the FFA, the 4-H, they're involved in the fair. There is a swine show, a steer show, a swine sale, and a steer sale, which is actually tonight. There are also 4-H members that also have rabbits, chickens. They grow citrus trees, and then all of those are up for auction. So you can come in and bid. So tonight will be the big auction, the steer and the swine. But you can also do the silent auction with the citrus trees. And there's a rabbit show. You can bid on the chickens. And if you decide you don't want to buy any of those animals or bid on them, then you also have the ability to add on to the purchase price, meaning, so for example, I did an add-on this morning for my granddaughter who's showing a steer, and I just added on $300 onto whatever she sells her steer for. And the kids, that is their money that goes directly to them, and they use it to reinvest and do another animal next year. And they do quite well, and many of them use that money for college.
Oh, okay. So what is a steer kind of running you these days? Like how much would you be paying for a well-raised steer?
Well, normally in past years, it's been around $3-4 a pound. Now, I'm going by what we saw at the DeSoto County Fair last week. Some of those steers were going for $10 a pound. So if they go that much tonight, those kids take home quite a bit of profit.
Okay, I'm struggling to do the math here, but I'm thinking a 293-pound pig, so a steer is quite a bit bigger than that. So what does a steer weigh these days?
Yeah, so the high-end steer this year was 1,582 pounds. And
Okay.
my granddaughter's is 1,491. So, but you'll see them anywhere from the low 1,000s to that high end that I just mentioned.
Yeah, okay. Is it kind of bittersweet though for a kid who's been, raising an animal and then to sell it and say goodbye to it?
It is, and she's done swine for the last few years, and every year there's tears when she lists, because these kids' name, like her name for her steer is Beef Wellington III.
Oh,
they all have unique names. And I asked her yesterday, because I'm planning on buying a steer myself tonight, and I said, was it okay if I buy your steer? And she said, absolutely not. And she's 14. Some of the kids are younger.
Yeah.
But she just couldn't deal with that, and I understand that.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of switch gears for a moment if I could. I was reading just some of the news from Hardee County. I noticed Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson has set aside quite a big chunk of land to be protected against development. I think it's about 1,300 acres or more. I mean, I'm just wondering, what does that tell you about, the pressures on farming in Hardee County? Like, are you sort of having those conversations like, what are the threats to farming? Because it's a big part of the way of life for a lot of folks there, but there must be some kind of pressures from folks saying, well, maybe we'll think about selling up our land and developing and subdividing instead.
Yeah, I mean, I think for anywhere in Florida, the biggest pressure on agriculture is development. And so what Commissioner Simpson did, and I'll give you a little bit of my background. I was in the legislature for 14 years, and one of the things that we really focused on, we knew this day would come when there would be so much development in Florida that we created programs like the Rural and Family Lands Program, and that's what you just saw that Commissioner Simpson just approved. And what that does is that large acreage of land is then never able to be developed, but the farmers can continue to farm on that property.
Yeah, okay.
And that provides us with continued green space, which we need. We can't pave everything in Florida.
Yeah, that's kind of a debate that you're seeing, to your point, in every county pretty much, whether it's rural or urban. Because I think folks who live in the cities, if you live in Tampa or, Sarasota or wherever it is you live, you're also thinking about the green space around you and whether you kind of appreciate sort of driving past the fields and seeing the cows or getting out there and spending some time in a national park or state park, I should say. Green space is important. If you're just joining us, we're talking with Denise Grimsley. She's on the board of directors for the Hardee County Fair. You've got some questions about the fair, maybe some favorite county fair memories. You can give us a call, 813-755-6562. You can also email FloridaMatters@WUSF.org. Okay, so there's a couple of rodeos coming up this weekend, right, Denise? Tell me a little more about those.
Then we have a ranch-style rodeo on Friday night, which is, your typical cowboys. And then on Saturday night is a Mexican rodeo, which most people aren't familiar with. But if you've never been to one, you should come because it's quite entertaining. There's a lot of bull riding that goes on with that one. They bring a mariachi band. And between the bull riding event, the band plays. And that is actually our biggest ticket night at the window coming into the fair.
And how long has that been going on for?
It starts at 7 o'clock on Saturday night, and it usually ends around 9 o'clock.
Okay. But that particular rodeo, like how long has that been a part of the fair? Like
Oh
it's
gosh, it's been going on for years. I mean, at least a decade, if not longer.
uh-huh. And I mean, are the rodeos kind of like because the fair's been going for a week now, right? So this is sort of like the last weekend of the fair coming up. Is this the crowning
Yes, it
event of it?
started last Saturday and it
Mhm.
ends this Saturday night at midnight.
Yeah. So is the rodeo the main draw card of the weekend, or the main sort of the highlight of the fair? I suppose you could say.
The rodeo is the finale.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Now, what are people going for? Like, if you've never been to a rodeo before, what can you expect to see there?
Well, on Friday nights, you can expect to see a standard rodeo, the bronc riding, the bull riding, the barrel racing, and on Saturday night, you will see a lot of bull riding and the mariachi band, as I mentioned.
Mm-hmm. And then tell me about the rodeo clown, because that's I actually interviewed a rodeo clown a few years back for the Kissimmee rodeo, but that's sort of part of it, right? Somebody who has to distract the animal if and when the rider falls off to make sure they don't get trampled or injured.
Yeah, correct. Especially with bulls. Bulls are very dangerous, so that is that clown's main job, is to keep the participant that was doing the riding safe.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to come back to kind of what we were talking about at the start of the conversation, Denise, which was the fact that you have a lot of young folks involved, and that sort of allows you to. I mean, that's the next generation of the kind of agricultural industry, right? So, what do you think about when you see those kids showing off the animals, selling them in some cases, or just displaying them and sort of displaying that part of the agricultural life of Hardee County? Like, do you feel confident about the next generation of farming kids coming through?
Absolutely. These programs like Future Farmers of America and 4-H, most of these kids that are showing are in one of those two programs. Teaches them responsibility, first off, by just they take care of that animal almost for a full year. My granddaughter, she'll sell hers tonight. She gets her new calf in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So they have a whole year of taking care of those animals. But it also teaches them presence. So when they're in the arena, how to show things, speak in public, and regardless of whether they choose a career in agriculture or not, it lays a foundation for what they do as an adult.
Indeed. Well, Denise Grimsley with the Board of Directors for the Hardee County Fair, thank you so much. And of course, that fair running through the weekend. If you are in Hardee County, you want to check out the rodeo or some of the other events and things on display there, you can check that out there. Thank you so much, Denise. Really appreciate it.
We'd love to hear from everyone and love to see them at the gate. Thank you so much.
Well, coming up next, we are going to talk about strawberries in Plant City. No, not the big festival you might be thinking of, but strawberries are a part of the fabric of Plant City. Hear more when Florida Matters Live and Local continues. Stay with us.
I'm Gabriel Velasquez Neira, and I'm a WUSF Rush Family Radio News intern. My experience at WUSF has undoubtedly opened up more doors for me and has helped enhance my radio delivery. WUSF and its amazing team has allowed me to have creative freedom with my work, go out into the field, and gain experience to help me better serve the community. I appreciate you for tuning in.
The Palladium at SPC presents a New York jazz connection as two powerhouse performers join forces this Saturday. Allison Briggs with her all-star band and Grammy-nominated pianist and vocalist Judy Carmichael. More at mypalladium.org.
Arts Access Florida makes content just for you. DIYs, book recommendations, calendared events, and local arts highlights. Follow Arts Access Florida on Instagram. Just search for our handle at Arts Access FL. That's Arts Access, AXISFL. That's where you'll find fun and kind of funny people. And thanks to Community Foundation Tampa Bay.
Welcome back to Florida Matters Live and Local. I'm Matthew Petty. Now, have you ever picked up a case of strawberries and bit into one that was just so sweet, like tingles right under your ears from how sweet and tangy it is? You feel that now just thinking about it. We're right at the peak of strawberry seasons when the berries are freshest and juiciest, and that's especially true this year when Florida's berries are tasting a little sweeter than normal. You're going to find out more why in a moment. About just a hint, it may have something to do with the cold weather we've been getting lately. Plant City is, of course, the winter strawberry capital of the world. Seriously, we're known for having the best strawberries in the world this time of year because of Florida's weather conditions. And that small town produces about 15% of the nation's strawberries and all of our winter berries as well. It's probably why they're home to a few strawberry celebrations like the Strawberry Bash at Keel Farms. Every year they host a big festival. You can pick some of those sweet strawberries, come drink some seasonal wine and ciders, and catch a strawberry shortcake eating contest. Sounds a bit messy, but very fun as well. For more, we're joined by Clay Keel, the president and experienced steward at Keel Farms. Clay, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And I've got to say, the smell of strawberries is kind of permeating the studio right now. You've got some right in front of you, just to hold them up for the camera if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so is that a fact? Like the strawberries are a little bit sweeter this year just because of the kind of cold snap? Does that have some impact on the fruit?
Yeah, there's some truth to that. They take a lot longer to ripen when it's cold out, right? And and that helps focus the sugars. The berry doesn't go through the process quite as fast before picking, and so you get a little more sweetness, a little less water.
Yeah. Now I know that we were talking before we got on air a little bit, and blueberries are more of what you produce agriculturally at Keel Farms, right? But you do have a strawberry patch or two.
Yeah, so we have about 15 acres of blueberries. We were a blueberry farm before we started making wine in the 90s and early 2000s. But we have 2 acres of strawberries. I work with my friend Matt Park of the Parksdale Farm family that folks have probably heard of. Mm-hmm. He helps me with the strawberry side. He's the strawberry expert. I'm kind of the blueberry expert. So we work together to get some strawberries on the farm.
Yeah, okay. And so what can people expect at the Strawberry Bash?
Yeah, we celebrate all things strawberry. So we'll have strawberries to you pick while supplies last Saturday morning. Probably won't last long because it's just, brings a pretty good sized crowd. But there's all kinds of other stuff. We of course have strawberry shortcake. We release a strawberry shortcake hard cider every year at the event. So we'll have that there. Tons of vendors, lots of things for the kids, bounce houses. Different events. We actually have camel rides. They come over from the Hillsborough County Fair, and the kids love that. Petting zoo. And,
Any reason
all that
it's a camel? Just they just happen to have one to lend you?
Yeah, a friend of mine that runs the fair over there in Hillsborough County Fair. He has a collection of camels and brings them over, and for a small charge, kids can ride the camel and they love it. And then he has a traditional petting zoo as well.
Yeah, right. Now you've got a couple of other products. Would you mind just kind of showing them for the camera for our YouTube audience? What are you holding there?
Absolutely. This is our strawberry Riesling. Mm-hmm. So we sell this year round. We've been selling it for about 15 years. So that's traditional Riesling wine, a little sweeter, dessert wine, but it's got the Florida strawberry on top of it. So you kind of get that strawberry and Riesling grape experience. Definitely a pool, a boat, after dinner wine. Mm-hmm. Then this is our strawberry lime cider. We've been selling that for a long time. It's available all throughout Tampa Bay, Orlando, the East Coast, on tap and in some stores as well.
So you're making that at the farm?
Yeah. Both of these are made at the farm. Yes.
Okay. 100%. With fruits from not just Keel Farms, but elsewhere too.
Yeah, so we started as a blueberry winery, which, my father started doing that 25 years ago. He was one of the only ones in the country doing it. But we moved into manufacturing all kinds of different wines. And so, for instance, this is a Riesling grape juice, probably actually from the East, like either Canada or New York. Mm-hmm. And then we'll ferment it in our place, bring the juice down, ferment it, and then add the strawberry to it.
Yeah, okay. So that freeze we had a couple of weeks ago when it got really cold, kind of down into single digits in some places, did that damage your crops at all?
Yeah, so thankfully on the blueberry side, we're still pretty early. They're very tough as long as they still have their flowers on them, which is they still do for another week or so. The strawberries, however, were really vulnerable, and once you just dip below freezing, the strawberries, you start damaging fruit, damaging flowers, and affecting. And we saw at my farm, we saw 23 on the coldest night. Mm-hmm. And the part that was really challenging is we had those cold temperatures plus the wind, which really limits our only defense, which is the overhead irrigation and intentionally causing ice on the plant.
Yeah, so why is wind a problem there?
So the wind, kind of a couple different reasons. One, you have a super cooling risk. So, the water can evaporate before it causes ice, which does more, lowers the temperature of the plant and causes more damage.
So just to back up, the ice is to kind of insulate, like it's a bit counterintuitive, but you get a layer of ice that's going to insulate the fruit a little bit.
Yeah, I actually love talking about this because it's kind of high school physics. Like, your sweat evaporates and cools you. ice forming actually does the opposite and releases some heat. So it actually it insulates a little bit, but it even raises the temperature a little bit as that ice is constantly forming. So it only works for a limited period of time. If you have to keep the ice on there for days on end, it doesn't work. So but however, you have to be able to throw enough water out there to form the ice. And when it's windy, like it was, 15 miles an hour wind, it blows the water all over the place. You can't form a consistent layer of ice. And so that's the risk with the wind. So I actually didn't even run during that windy night, although lots of strawberry farmers did.
Yeah, okay, so strawberries are kind of a part of what you do, but just by and large, I mean, the fact that you're in Plant City, strawberries are a big part of the economy here, right? Like, what can you say about that and how Keel Farms kind of fits into that picture?
Yeah, no, really proud of that. We're a strawberry community going back, I don't know, a century. Oranges and strawberries. The oranges are kind of gone now, unfortunately, but the strawberries still really strong. Some really great farmers over there in Plant City growing an incredible amount of really delicious strawberries. We have the Strawberry Festival coming up in 10 days, after our event. So it's a big part of our culture, a big part of our history, and we kind of blend that with the agritourism. That's my role, right? We make the wines and ciders.
So that's where
beers
experienced steward
right,
comes in.
Right. Yeah, we get close to a couple 100,000 people there a year, experiencing the farm, picking fruit, having lunch and dinner, touring the winery, just hanging out. It's a very casual, fun family environment, and so we're proud to provide that agritourism experience for Tampa Bay.
Is that something that all farms kind of have to think about, like? Is sort of diversifying into tourism, but just to make sure you've got your bases covered, because agriculture can be a bit fickle, right? Especially when you get serious weather events like we just saw, or hurricanes, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You're sort of at the risk of, the mercy of the weather. So if you can sort of have some other things going at the same time, it probably helps.
Yeah, and that's one of the things,